Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you hear me today? I'm so, I guess not excited, but it's very honoring to be able to watch Her Majesty's funeral with you all a bit. So awesome. It looks like there's some people here already. Peg, RC, you're in Hawaii. Oh my goodness, it's probably very, very late there in the evening. Good morning from Illinois, Johanna. Just making sure that you can all hear me. Ooh, new comments. There we go. Yay. Hello from Sweden. Hello from Italy. Oh my goodness. So many people here. Good morning. It's from New Zealand. South Africa, it looks like. Cookie Toots. Thank you, Brittany. All. Good morning. Love your shows, Brittany. Thank you. BB evening from New Zealand. Yes, it's a very early morning here for me, and I'm sure a couple other people too. So guys, thank you so much for coming this morning to kind of, honor the Queen and see her funeral. I have it playing here on kind of my iPad next to me because I was just going to kind of watch it with you guys. I realized this should be like kind of more of a reaction video almost from what we're all seeing. And so it's really, really crazy to be here. And so guys, thank you so much again. And just kind of the big news that came out last night about the funeral, I don't know if you had seen it here yet or not, is that George and Charlotte are going to join their parents and walk behind the Queen's casket. And I just am so impressed by those kids being able to do that. I think that is so, that's such a big deal. It's such an honor. And they're so young. They're so young. And so I just hope they are able to, I know they probably won't be able to fully appreciate it yet, but I think it's wonderful that they're there for such an historic moment. I have seen that Catherine's parents, so Michael and Carol Middleton, have arrived. And so Kate asked, what channel am I watching? I'm currently watching the BBC live coverage, but if you guys have one that's better, let me know. I know I saw one from like the Telegraph that was going. I'm really hoping to get watch as kind of some of the foreign royals enter. That was what I was hoping to get. But of course, I feel like nobody else ever covers the foreign royals and they don't know who anybody is. So, but Annette, greetings from the Netherlands. Yes, because your queen and former queen and king are going to be here at this event today. So I know there's a lot of foreign royals. And yes, S says, and the couple of Sussex will walk behind Charlotte and George. When I saw that, I thought that was kind of, probably would really twist Meghan that she's having to walk behind children. But that is, what my conclusion has always been. It's like, that was always what you signed up for. So I don't understand quite why she's so, I think, probably would be frustrated by that, because that is obviously being a part of monarchy, is walking behind those who are higher in the line of succession than you. That's just kind of the deal. So, so yeah, that'll be kind of funny and interesting to see. Yes, it looks like we have a good portion of seats that are still left to be filled, and kind of the ones kind of next. At least when it was Prince Philip's, their service at Thanksgiving, there was kind of two sections. One had the Windsors in it for the most part, and the other one had some of the Windsors and then most of the foreign royals. So I just think that is what we'll see again here today, and some of the higher ranking dignitaries. And then we have St. Louis and Oklahoma from In It to Win It here this morning. And Helena, hi. It's 7 p.m. there in Australia. It's a better time than it is here. Although some of you it's like 3 a.m. So I'm very impressed. Amelia says, hello, greetings from Malaysia. Monica says, this is a sad but historic day, end of an era. God bless the Queen and long live the King. I so admired Her Majesty the Queen. Yes, this is going to be a very somber day, a very reflective day. But I think, it's one that everybody had been kind of anticipating. But I know it just seemed like the family was deeply, deeply shocked that Her Majesty, because she was seemingly in pretty good health up until kind of the last moment. And all of a sudden, I think she took a turn for the worse. I'm not sure exactly what happened. The Norm Gal said, good morning. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate you working. Yes, I am excited to be doing this because, again, I feel like when it comes to royal coverage, it's always missing. Nobody knows who anybody is besides, the main Windsor line. And so I'm really hoping we can see some of the other royals, because that's what's kind of fun about these events is that everybody kind of comes together. And that happens more in like other royal families. You know, they have big birthday events with tiaras and stuff, and kind of everybody goes. It's usually the Brits that decide not to go to these things or not to throw those type of events. And I'm always like, oh, you guys should do that. It would be a lot of fun. And so it's just kind of frustrating that we don't get that from the British quite so much. So Michelle says, I hope Harry and Meghan don't try and coax the kids to laugh or smile when they shouldn't just embarrass them. Yeah, I was wondering too what we would see, because there's obviously so many stories about Catherine bullying Charlotte, and that has like trended on social media and stuff like that. So I would not be surprised if we see a moment where Meghan tries to look like she is buddy with Charlotte or doing something sweet. And I mean, it could be totally genuine. I don't know. But she also, you know, at the Christmas at Sandringham kind of, you know, touched Eugenie's arm and told, you know, said, oh, you look so beautiful, when kind of everybody could see it, knowing that, you know, because everybody kind of knew Meghan announced her pregnancy at Eugenie's wedding, that she was probably utilizing the moment to make herself look better. So I apologize, guys. It is 5 a.m. So if it takes me a bit more time to come to my conclusion when I'm talking, I do apologize for that. Look at Lakeisha asks, she's watching BBC as well. That's wonderful. Zani from Oslo and in Doha, but watching between Oslo and Cape Town. Wow, BBC. Sky News. Are these? This looks like some of Her Majesty's. Let's see. Sky News, maybe. All right. Okay. Accept all. Live. Okay. Let's see what Sky News has to offer. Okay. We have Biden and Jill Biden coming in. Good morning to everyone. 500 world leaders. You have no idea. I don't know how I can. I will do the best that I can. Sky News is showing the world leaders walking in. Okay, Sky News coverage. Got it. So Biden will probably be, I would guess, probably the last world leader to come in. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see too. I would bet that Catherine and William are quite protective of the children interacting with Harry and Meghan. We saw that at the wedding, so I think they'll be pretty protective. As Penny says, just found you a few days ago and love your channel. Aw, glad to be catching it live. Greetings from Australia. Hello. Yes, this is a better time because I know trying to catch everybody in the different time zones is really hard without some people getting up super early or staying up late. So it says, Tracy says, because she wants all the attention on her. So this is brilliant news that the stars will be the little Wales kids. Yes, I think very much so that everybody will be looking at Charlotte and George. That will be kind of the focal point, I think, of everybody's attention. I will still be curious if we see little Louis in the church. I don't think so, because he was still a bit wild at the pageant, and this is in a long solemn service. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see if they do go ahead and bring him. It's kind of hard because it's like, you know, it's a very historic day, but at the same time, you know, you got to consider age and that he's probably perhaps too young. So we shall see. It's 11 a.m. in South Africa. Hello, 2 a.m. here in California. Ooh, Dark Princess. Oh, that's rough. Although I'd rather, I think, stay up super late and then go to bed rather than getting up super early. So watching BBC from Queensland, Australia. And we have Lady Jane saying Prince William and Kate having their children be in today, showing Prince Harry and Meghan how to behave. That's probably true. I'm sure Charlotte and George just seem, I mean, the Cambridge kids in general seem so well behaved and so respectful. And so I think we'll see. And Charlotte seems like a little mama. She was kind of nudging her brothers to do X, Y, and Z at, the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, keeping them honest and everything. So I think we'll see that more from her, because she, I think, keeps those brothers of hers in line. So she will be, she'll be so young. She'll be 7 when she does this. George will be 9. And I mean, I know it's different, between a mother, obviously, and a great grandmother, but, Harry had was on the cusp of turning 13, or had just turned 13. And William was 15, I believe. And so that's pretty young as well. But, the Cambridge children are even younger. And I don't think their procession will be quite as long. So I think that will be probably a good thing because they don't need to be obviously walking all down the mile and everything. Ashley Kane from Texas, CR from Texas. Good morning. Yes. Curie says, love the fact that Meghan will have to walk behind Charlotte. God bless the Queen. Yes. Florida. You have Warsaw, Poland. I was just in Krakow. I loved it. So I'm hoping to do, again, a video on it at some point. But obviously the Queen passing away kind of derailed many, many things. What coverage am I commentating from? I'm currently watching the Sky News coverage. You can get to it from their main website, and they just have a kind of a live YouTube stream running, and they seem to be focusing more on kind of arrivals and stuff, and that's what I was kind of hoping for, is kind of seeing the arrivals, especially of the foreign royals, because we don't get too much of them. Lady Jane Epic. Sandra, I enjoy all your videos. Thank you. Good morning from Dallas. Hi, Vanessa. George and Charlotte remind me of Charles and Anne. They're going to be dedicated royals when they get older. This is from Angela. Yes, I think that's entirely true. I think we'll see. They will both be working royals. I think there was kind of, thought maybe that they wouldn't, but I think they will need both of them and Louis too. And I think they'll be very popular members of the royal family. And Charlotte will be the next Princess Royal, which I think is super exciting and kind of just a historic day and a historic change. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Okay, just wanted to make sure I knew where the coverage was here of arrivals. And yeah, the different heads of state walking in. That's right. S says, thanks for your passion about the royals. Your passion is contagious. Oh, thank you. Yes, it's maybe not everybody's into it, but I really enjoy it. Manisha from Sri Lanka. Hello, good morning. Jody says, I just was on another live stream and the comments were disgraceful. Oh, that's so sad. Why do people do that? I mean, I am all for critiquing someone or criticizing where need be, but, let's always be respectful of each other and different opinions. I'd always hope that if there was a huge Meghan fan, that they would, be willing to at least listen to some of my videos, and hopefully even maybe if they still disagree, leave a kind comment. That would be my hope, but, not everybody's like that. Yes, hello from Kentucky, up at it early for Her Majesty the Queen. God bless her and may she long live her legacy. This is a pretty historic moment. It really is a hugely historic moment. We haven't seen a big state funeral like this since George VI's death, and that's been a very long time. And he had a somewhat shorter reign, and so I think even perhaps a comparison to George V might be more appropriate. And so, Jennifer, thank you so much for the tip. Much love and respect from Ontario, Canada to everyone here. I couldn't sleep a wink. Oh, yes. I mean, it was hard to sleep. It was hard for me to sleep because I kept thinking I was going to miss my time this morning. But thank you so much, Jennifer. I'm so glad you were enjoying it. Good morning, reading from the UK, watching BBC One since 8 a.m. I'm sure it's been quite I'd be love to know what the atmosphere is like in, people watching and stuff. Because I remember lining up I got there probably at about 6 a.m. for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee for the Trooping the Color. And I was there very early, and, it was a much different atmosphere. It was a lot of excitement, a lot of anticipation. And it was definitely a morning I'll never forget. And it was so cool to get there and to kind of be able to rush in. And I was able to get in kind of the rotunda by the palace and able to get a couple pictures of the royal family. They weren't the best pictures. I had at least a telephoto lens, but when everybody puts their cameras up, you just can't see anything. So, my camera kept focusing on the wrong thing. So I had to manual focus it and everything. So that makes it a lot more challenging. So, but it was just such a different morning here. And I'm sure, the people who have lined up and are waiting, they're remembering Her Majesty, and it's just kind of somber, but I'm so glad we had that celebratory Platinum Jubilee, because that is just, I think, so important. A lot of people I ended up standing around with too were just from London and, just kind of took a bit of time out of their day because they just wanted to see it. Miss Sad Song says those kids are more mature than Harry and Meghan. Yeah, I do think that's the case. Brigitte asks, do you wonder if Meghan Markle will talk about the Queen on her podcast? I kind of have no doubt she'll do that. I can't see how she would not do that. it just seems like exactly what she would do is talk about it. And I mean, I kind of understand it. I mean, she did kind of know the queen, but at the same time, I feel like, you kind of also hugely disrespected her and didn't seem to care that much because you and your husband never made an effort really to visit her. So your kind of sincerity on this, I question quite a bit. So that is just kind of my, that is my perspective on the issue. MK says, so many monarchs, heads of state, and VIP there. Security must be airtight. Yes. Somebody asked, this is a great question. Dark Princess Melly asks, did the foreign kings and queens have to bow when walking by to pay their respects? So we did actually see this a couple of times. I believe it was a Swedish king and queen. So this is Carl Gustaf and his wife, Sylvia. They both, did kind of a bow of their heads. Now, she didn't do a huge curtsy or anything like that, but I just thought that was kind of cool to see that respect there. And I believe I saw it from a couple of others. I think King Philippe may have done it a smidge. I could be wrong on that, from Spain. And because King Philippe, he is related to Her Majesty too. I think they're actually pretty close within the line of succession, or he's actually, second or third cousin twice removed or something like that. He's related to Her Majesty. He's Catholic, so he's not in the line of succession. But when it comes to like Norway has a close relationship with the crown, and they are the highest up in terms of the other European royals in terms of the line of succession. I think they're in the 300s maybe, or maybe late 100s. I've looked it up before, but it's been a bit. So there's definitely a closeness there. And I think a deep respect for Her Majesty in terms of, the longevity of her reign. Queen Margarethe of Denmark, she's now the only other royal in the world who is not, I think in Europe, I shouldn't say the world, but at least in Europe, and I would think the world too, who is a female sovereign. We will have several of those coming up in years, kind of the future. I had a video idea at some point to say, the future is female. There's going to be a lot of female monarchs, Victoria of Sweden. And then we have her daughter Estelle will be next. And then we have Catherine Amelia in the Netherlands, Leonor of Spain, and Elizabeth of Belgium. And so there'll be a lot of royals, female royals, who will be leading countries here. Hopefully they'll get some more time because most of them are quite young. And so it says, Susan says, cheers from Australia. Lady Jane says again, Prince William and Kate having the children will be there today, maybe showing Prince Harry and Meghan how it's done. I think so. Tracy says, I was hoping they were going to fly home this morning. I don't think that'll happen. You can bet hand and arm holding the entire time. Oh, yes. So just looking through, Rose, Hanbury, and husband have arrived. Oh, okay. Yes, because he had a pretty significant position within the household. I can't remember exactly what his title was, but he would kind of be able to, he was a part of the state dinners quite a bit, and he had a pretty prominent role. And so Rose, if you don't know, she is the woman who's kind of at the center of the Prince William affair allegations that have been kind of roaming around for the past year or two. And I think obviously that is just hugely inaccurate. I don't think it's actually the case at all. That I don't think anything actually happened. Okay, so we have Boris Johnson and his wife arriving. And so I just think it's kind of a terrible rumor that's gone around that has really no basis. So hi from Manila, Biden. Yes. Members of the Queen household. Oh, Elizabeth said, I love Queen Renya's interview where she called Her Majesty the Queen of the World. Yes, I did think so I kind of had mixed feelings because I understand that she could do interviews. I thought it was a smidge tacky of her to kind of make a big deal posting about it on social media, but that is a wonderful sentiment because she really was. And all the monarchs across Europe deeply respected her. And we, saw that beautiful letter from Queen Margarethe of Denmark, just talking about how much she admired the Queen and, felt the loss for their family. And because she's celebrating her 50th Jubilee this year. King Carl Gustaf is celebrating his next year in Sweden. And so they are, I think there's only so many people who can understand a little bit of what you're going through. I mean, Queen Margarethe of Denmark, her sphere is much smaller. She doesn't have the Commonwealth in addition to Denmark. She has Greenland. But there's only so many people who can understand that. So that's really cool. Curious Brunette says, hi from the Philippines here. Like the royal family and history in general so much and what they stand for historically and culturally. Me too. That is why, part of the reason why I love royals is their kind of representation of kind of, history and continuity and kind of the best of, representing that culture, because I think they're unique cultural influence. Well, not influencers, I should say, because that has a connotation, but kind of cultural purveyors. They kind of share their history and, their culture and country in unique and interesting ways. Lady Ali Fox from the Philippines, and then Prince William and Kay having their children to be there today will be showing up Harry and Meghan. Yes, those kids I think will be very, very professional and obviously deeply moved. And because we have heard from Catherine and William that while George is kind of understanding what's going on, Charlotte and Louis, I'm sure Charlotte's kind of in the middle where she does and she doesn't perhaps, and Louis just kind of doesn't quite get it yet. We did hear from Catherine that Louis is actually asking a lot of questions and really kind of, wondering what's going on. And there was such thing so sweet. He said he really hopes that at Balmoral, they'll be able to, when they go to Balmoral, will they still play the same games they did? So you can tell they really enjoyed their time at Balmoral, and he wants to go back. He's actually really looking forward to going back, but he's worried because Her Majesty won't be there and they won't be able to do the same things. Fibromyalgia asks a question. Did you hear about the issues of merging her shoes and handbag when she curtsied to the coffin? I haven't heard that, but I'm not surprised. Not surprised. Not surprised at all. That's kind of been her thing. Meghan's mirror has been a kind of a huge question about that. Although at least one of the women who was kind of a big part of that, I feel like, is posting more about Catherine now and kind of distancing from Meghan, because they stopped updating the website for a while because kind of the Meghan's Mirror thing. It's a very nice looking website and they kind of do like an archive of her stuff, but it was very weird because they were like, well, we loved, Meghan so much and we thought she would be, we knew she would be this huge, individual. And I'm like, well, wait, what? How did you know that? How could you know that? Because it just doesn't make a ton of sense, because Meghan is just, sorry to say, she's a lower tier actress. She was not going to have this big mark, really. And so it's like they knew something before the rest of the world did, because their website kind of came out kind of right before the news broke that Harry and Meghan were dating. So there was a lot of questions about whether or not she was working with them. And they link to her different items and what they, and it's kind of an affiliate link. So what that does is they would get a percentage of that. And so there's, questions of, did they have to sell those percent or share those percentages with Meghan if she helped? So that's kind of long and complicated, but okay, we do have somebody. This is perhaps the current prime minister, I would guess, because we had all the foreign ones just arrive. I'm still watching Sky News. We just had the former PMs show up, and we have a new motorcade coming in. I would imagine, it could be royals, but I would imagine it's the latest prime minister. And B says, you remind me of Meg Ryan. I've heard that a lot, which I think is so cool. She was America's sweetheart, and I probably won't have that distinction, but that's kind of a cool thought. Joan says, watching from the UK. Lady Jane, Renee from Germany, watching it in ITV News. Greetings from Ireland. Thank you for all your videos. Oh, thank you. Yes, I do look at my moment. Why will Brigitte asks, why will the younger children walk behind the casket? I hope it won't be traumatic for them. I don't think it will be. I think I'm sure they've actually spent some time perhaps with Her Majesty's casket and this morning privately, the little kids, and I don't think it'll be traumatic for them, because although they're close to the Queen, I think it is perhaps a little bit more, it's your actual mother and it's a shock car accident and stuff like that. So I understand that pressure and stuff from from William and Harry. I completely understand that. But when it comes to, I think, the rest of the I think the kids will be fine. I think they'll enjoy it. I think, not enjoy it, I shouldn't say. Sorry, I was kind of distracted watching. So yes, Liz Truss just came in from the UK. But I think they'll be happy when they're older to know they were part of such a historic moment. I think perhaps they won't appreciate the gravity of it right now, but I think they will in the future. And I think it was definitely something Catherine and William, I'm sure, talked to them about it quite a bit. So this is not something they just laid on the kids, by happenstance, or like, oh yeah, or told them, yes, you're going to see, you're going to walk behind your great grandmother's coffin. I don't think it was anything like that. They're like, well, this is an option if you want. And, why don't you think about it? Let us know and we'll discuss it. And they probably ask, well, what does this mean? I'm sure they were asking a lot of questions, and I'm sure Catherine and William were both very gracious to answer most of those questions for them and help them try to manage and figure out exactly what they want to do in this situation and whether or not they want to do it. And I think, again, as they get older, I think they'll really, really appreciate it and be so grateful that they got to share that moment with their parents and with Her Majesty. I think that'll be very, very important. Alumnus says, hi from Scotland. You sound like a Georgia girl. Oh, I am not a Georgia girl, but glad to sound like it a little bit. It's 9 p.m. here in Fiji. Oh, that's not too bad, but yeah, so S says, I read somewhere that Markle didn't give her permission to bring her kids to the UK. It's sad, to be honest. I think it is, because I think this is a time for family, and it's really sad that her kids could not be here, just to even mourn with, their cousins and stuff, or just generally spend any time with them. I mean, they have hardly spent any time with their, their grandfather, the king, and they want titles for them with HRHs, and yet they don't spend any time with anyone. So it feels very kind of, again, really disrespectful and ungrateful. And it would have been so much that if they could have just done that, I think, and brought the kids, I think that would have been just a wonderful goodwill gesture. But of course, Harry and Meghan are immune to those sorts of things. Lady Jane says, good morning, Brittany. Okay, I think we had the foreign royals arriving. That would be, Jody says, Sherman says, Her Majesty's last day of duty. Yes, I think I loved how they said, Her Majesty the Queen was, when they said, her coffin leaving, Scotland, she's leaving her beloved Scotland for the last time. She's leaving Buckingham Palace for the last time. I mean, there's something about that finality there. But, as a Christian woman, she was deeply devout. And I have no doubt that she is, probably celebrating in heaven now and, looking down with great grace of what everybody has done for her and how they are commemorating her life, I think would be deeply moving to her. So I think that's kind of a beautiful moment. And she was somebody who was very, she lived her life with a sense of great duty. And I think we all see that. And I think that's something that we can all learn from, is that when you have, responsibilities and things you should do and stuff like that, do them to the best of your ability and do them, she worked until basically the last day of her life. And I know not everybody can do that, and not everybody is queen and can live in a castle and have a lot of things provided for them. But I think it's something to admire somebody who just did not, give up when it got too hard, or they didn't want to do it anymore, or that, they felt like they wanted to do something else with their life. Kind of like Harry almost, that she's like, even when it's not easy and, it's difficult, I'm still going to continue to do it. And because I want to represent something greater than myself. And that's who I think the Queen she deeply represents somebody greater than herself. And that is the UK people. I think she represents, she's a huge part of the Church of England. Let's see who this is. We have Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his wife Georgina is coming in. Claudia says, good morning. It's you're in California. Only got 1 hour sleep. Oh no. Most channels in Australia are covering it, and watching Channel 9 in Queensland. I hope they risk snargle for microphones and cameras. Expect blood boil knowing that she'll be there. I feel like it is kind of sad because I don't feel like Meghan appreciates any gravity of the situation all that much, except for what it can do for her. And that's, I think, kind of sad. If more asks who are these people? Oh, the Garter people. Yes. So the Order of the Garter will attend, all the members, at least the high-ranking members. And so it looks like we have start trying to watch. I believe some of these are perhaps like, I'm seeing this cavalcade of cars coming. So I'm still watching Sky News. And it looks like perhaps the members of the royal household here are being driven in different vans. We obviously had a couple buses go out too. So I'm not sure, those might be filled with kind of the minor royals, and then the foreign royals, I would guess, is kind of the mixture of those vehicles. So we'll see when they get there. Did I download the order of service? Yes, I did. And I thought, again, super impressive to see, George and Charlotte's name changed. So Prince George of Wales, Princess Charlotte of Wales. And so I just thought that was really cool to see them. Jennifer says, I have to say I'm warming to Camilla. I have too. And I know people hold a grudge over the whole, Diana debacle and everything. But I think what's lovely about Camilla is she's really kept her head down. She's worked really, really well. And she's very respectful, I think, of the queen, the crown, her husband. And, you can't ask for too much more than that. And I know there was definitely some things they shouldn't have done in their past, but hey, I think they've done a pretty good job of, she has her reading corner project. So she's really passionate about reading and getting others to read. So I think, she's not perfect who is, and I'm sure William again would give anything to have his mother there. And so would Harry. But, I think she is a pretty, and I'm sure she keeps her distance with William to a certain extent, allows him to approach her and give her as much, opportunity as, kind of a grandmother type figure that he wants. But, she is to a certain extent their grandmother because she's the only one they kind of know, besides obviously Carol. I'm sure they talk about Diana all the time, but she's still kind of their grandmother. Hello from Indonesia, Portland. Cookie Toot says, thank you. I wish others were reporting with the same level of respect and knowledge of such occasions. Oh, I don't know how much more knowledge I can bring. I'm sure the broadcasts are sharing more, but I just do think it's very, I'm really excited to be able to witness something like this, because this is definitely a once in a lifetime. Obviously the Jubilee was much more exciting, but, and very, very, I was very grateful to see that. But this is I wish I was able to be there. And so we do have the Royal Standard coming out. And so I believe this will be Charles in the car, and he's going to, he's clearly going to, because they're starting out at Westminster Hall. Good morning, 6 a.m. here in Chile. What if Harry was firstborn? Oh, I mean, I think being firstborn could, change kind of birth order type things. And I think he would probably be a bit different than he is. But I think it was good that William was born first. Although I did think for a while that Harry might have been better, but clearly I was wrong, because he can't pick the greatest spouse in the world. I love that the little prince and princess are going. And Shona says, I bet it was a difficult working out the seating plan for the foreign royals. Yes, because they were talking about that in one article, because they had the Iran there, Israel, who are kind of bitter enemies, and they have North and South Korea. And so there's a lot to consider when kind of seating order and making sure that everybody is kind of being able to be seated respectfully and with a distance, but that they can also pay their respects, because I think it's a big thing. Watching GBN News while I watch you. Oh, thank you. Royal family, the Cambridge family are very grounded. Yes, they are. Greetings from Switzerland. My understanding was that they were going to be in the procession in the church, not outside. Oh, okay. That they would be behind the Queen's coughing as it entered and went down the aisle of the church. Yes, that could be the case. I was thinking they would be kind of there walking across, but I could also see too that being a long time for a couple of young kids. So, sorry, just refreshing my coverage and seeing if I can see anything else. I'd love to say if I have to work today. Oh, I'll be recording Love from California. I hope you have a good day at work. Good morning from the UK. I like the announcement of George and Charlotte. They are expanding their spotlight more. They literally grown up overnight since the Queen passed. May Her Majesty rest in peace. Yes, so we will see a lot more here before too long of the Cambridge children. Sorry, the Wales's children. We'll be seeing them more, because they're not just, kind of more removed. Their grandfather is king. Their father is next in line. George is right after that. And then Charlotte, they're going to be more prominent because they they will be representing the future, and you need to really do those things. Nicola says, good morning, Brittany. I'm new to your channel. Love your perspective on Harry and Meghan. You're 100% correct. Thank you for all your hard work, Nikki. Oh, thank you so much. Mrs. K said, I came across your channel when it was a few weeks old. Frame for your first episode. I was hooked. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad, because those first episodes were probably a bit rough. But being able to kind of learn more about it was just a really exciting opportunity. And Dark Business, thank you so much for the tip. I happened to miss it earlier. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. Do you think Harry and Meghan would have been mounted to marry if Harry was the firstborn? I think they would have pushed against it a lot more if Harry was the firstborn. Good morning, LC. Okay, so we have somebody arriving here, it looks like from the royal party. So we have King Charles. No, that's, yeah, King Charles and William. And we have Peter Phillips that we're seeing. This is on Sky News. And Harry, who we see as well, is in mourning attire. So he is not able to obviously wear his military uniform in this situation. Hello from Brazil, from Australia. How do you feel about this being Her Majesty's last duty? I think it's, again, so fitting that this is her last duty. So I'm excited that we get to remember her this way and see her get this great service that she deserves. Good morning, coming you awake from Niagara Falls in Canada. Oh, wow. Okay, let's see who's arriving. Oh, we have some of the minor royals arriving here. So it looks like we have some members of the Kent family. We have Lord Frederick Windsor, Princess Michael of Kent. We have, so kind of in the front, looking at Sky News. So we have the Duchess of Gloucester up in front because the Duke of Gloucester will be walking with Her Majesty's casket. It looks like she's leading some of their children and grandchildren down the procession. And then keep looking. Oh, and there's Princess Alexandra. So that's Her Majesty's cousin. And I believe she was from the Kent family. So we have Lady Gabriella Windsor that I saw, and then the screen cut. Sorry. I was going to try to point some of them out. Thanks for the live stream from Sicily. Yes. Just watched George VI's funeral on Associated Press. Oh, that would probably... Oh, we see the Cambridge children. So Catherine and Camilla are there with the Cambridge children in the car, in the Rolls Royce. And so we see George and Charlotte. So they are on their way. Doesn't look like we have Louis, but I could always see him arriving a little later. And it looks like Meghan again is with Sophie, but they cut away from Meghan and Sophie pretty quickly. I think it's kind of interesting that the British media... Oh, we have Princess Eugenie, Zara Phillips have arrived. Lady Louise, Viscount Severin, and I believe that's Sarah. Is that Sarah Ferguson there? I think so. Sarah Ferguson, I think, is arriving last in the party. And then we have the Chateaus who have arrived too. So it was announced that Sarah Ferguson would be at the funeral, which I think is fantastic for her to be there. I know they didn't have always the best relationship. I think, she obviously wants to be there to support her children and during this time. So we're seeing them arrive here. And so we had, I see a Lady Amalia Windsor and her older sister. Let's see who's walking down the main. I was looking for Lady Sarah Chateau and I don't see her, but I see her son Arthur and her other son. And then we have, and then we're out kind of in the cloister, and then you can see Lady Gabrielle Windsor. I can't remember her last name. There's one name, a family that starts with an O, and I think it's from Princess Alexandra's family, Ogley or something. And I see some of her children and grandchildren there too. Okay. We'll be seeing a collection of foreign royals entering the church next. I hope so. That was a little bit ago, but I haven't seen. Hi from North Carolina. Your channel is great. I appreciate the commentary. Thank you. Is electric is the atmosphere in the UK. That would be, yeah, I can imagine too, because this is a huge military processional we're seeing. Angela says, I haven't gone to bed yet, may go at any moment. Well, if you do fall asleep, I will not hold it against you in the slightest. Very surprised to see the Japanese emperor and his wife attending. Yes. So that's kind of an interesting story because Empress Masako, she was a very highly educated woman, and she came into the Japanese royal family, and they're just the Japanese system. I don't know what it is about it that goes on behind the scenes, but the women just don't fare well. Needless to say, the former empress had like a period of several months where she basically became mute. I think Masako, they called it adjustment disorder, but basically it's very repressive. I think you'll see the women and they're all kind of dressed the same. It feels very much like the Stepford Wives version of royalty is kind of what the Japanese system is like. So JV says, hi, Queen Sonia's curtsy. Oh, I must have Sky coverage. Sky, did you let me down? Yes. Okay. Okay, Camilla is arriving. We'll see her. Shush. Sorry, that was my sister's dog. Queen Marguerite and the Queen were close. Yes, they were. Okay, so Catherine is coming in. She has a wider hat. Oh, and Charlotte's wearing her first hat. Oh, that's a huge moment. Oh, that's a big moment. And we have Meghan wearing, it looks like perhaps maybe, I don't know, it's hard to see. She has a big hat on as well. But Catherine and the kids are looking fabulous. And it's so exciting to see them. Hey, from Greenland, if you want to buy it. People want to buy it. That's true. People do want to buy Greenland. I'm positive Narkle started the rumor that William is having an affair, probably. Okay, let's see where we are in the comments. I try to look at everything and then I get kind of distracted. Yes, most of others, they wanted everybody to arrive on bus to kind of manage kind of the crowds and everything. Okay, switch back over to BBC and we're seeing more of the Waleses and Camilla entering the church again. And we see Sophie as well. And Meghan's kind of bringing up the rear. And there's somebody behind them, but I think she's perhaps a member of staff. And switch. From Florida. Watching the funeral live from Australia. Yes. So we should see the procession starting soon. Okay. All right. Oh, Sandra, that's very kind, Sandra Smith. Thank you. Join when you're young. So yes, looks like we're getting procession here starting in a minute. And that'll be a very exciting moment here. Are you sharing the broadcast? I'm unable to share. Oh, we have the Queen's casket coming out with the imperial scepter and the imperial crown on it. I can't imagine trying to be able to balance the casket and not drop those very, very expensive things on top of it. Not to mention the fact, obviously, you don't want to disrespect the Queen in any way. But it's definitely a challenge. So, yes, I'm not able to share broadcast really because I don't want to kind of be hit with copyright later. And I wasn't sure if I can figure out in time how to air it. Yes, Catherine looks beautiful. I'd love to see more of her hat. I noticed that she did have a bit of a veil with it, though I'm not as the big hats are usually not as much of my favorite. Oh, you did see Lady Sarah. I was trying to find her. She always looks fabulous. She always looks fabulous and she has a very unique sense of style, and she was a bit of an artist, and so you can kind of see that in her. And kind of much like her brother, they kind of has carried on the legacy of their father, Earl of Snowdon. So I think that's kind of really awesome to see them. Ogilvy, yes. BBC coverage is better. Okay, I'll switch back over to the BBC and see. Well, they're kind of doing the same thing now. Poor Sophie. Yes, Charlotte is so adorable. Bill, oh, thank you. It's very kind of you. I know Charlotte in a hat. This is kind of her big girl. Okay, so we see obviously the procession of Her Majesty's children behind her. And then we see obviously Prince William and Peter Philip and Prince Harry there as well. Hello from NC or NY, New York. Louis too young to attend? Probably. I would think this may be because this is not just like a pageant and he's kind of being wild there. That's fine. But this is a very, very important and solemn occasion. I imagine he may actually be he could actually even be there in, kind of the back of the church. And so he can participate kind of with his cousins, but then Nanny Maria, if she needs to, can also take him out. Okay. Yes. Okay, so there's all the sailors around, and then the royal family is actually even behind them. It looks like we are heading out here in a second. Yes. So S says, seems like every woman in the royal family is wearing a hat. Yes, they all wear hats. It's kind of part of, a huge part of British tradition. I actually did ask a couple of people from other parts of Europe, is that something that they do? Because we were at the church service and there was a couple of people from France and stuff. And I was asking, well, do you guys do anything similar? And they're like, no. But I kind of love the British hat system. I have a I have a fascinator that I got during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. But if I had a black one, I would wear it today. But fortunately, mine is kind of a taupe color. And so that just didn't seem fitting. Shalom says, am I only one seeing stars in her eyes when I see Major Johnny? I don't think so. He's become quite popular. He was kind of seated behind Harry and Meghan at the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, and many thought he was kind of there in a huge part to just keep an eye on them. Charlotte hat. Seems like every woman. Yes, and it looks like the flowers on the casket have changed because we now have a lot of beautiful colors. Oh, and we are starting the procession, this very, very solemn procession. Oh, I wonder what the card says. I wonder if we'll have, well, obviously we won't know what the card says, but I'd be curious to know, what name is being used on it. Yeah, very careful movement in their weight. Yes, to kind of move that very carefully. So sad. So just watching the procession a bit. Gemby asked, what do you think of Piers Morgan's opinion on Meghan? I do actually think his opinion is quite interesting. So I do appreciate a lot. BBC didn't show Sophie and Meghan arriving. Again, I'm not surprised. They seem to be kind of avoiding kind of showing Meghan at all. And so the flag over Her Majesty's coffin is kind of her royal standard. And so that's usually what flies over like Buckingham Palace. And so that is what is draped kind of over her coffin. And somebody asked, where is William? He is kind of back behind all the soldiers who are helping to, looks like they are actually pulling the coffin. So they are, so William and the rest of the men in the royal family, for the most part, with the exception of Anne, are behind there. Yeah, Meghan is there. She's just kind of was not, the media focus wasn't on her much. Let's see if we can turn on the music a bit for. Oh, I love bagpipes. I'd have to look up. Michelle asked, do you think there's different royal standards? I would have to look up and see if there are actually different ones. I imagine it might be actually probably pretty similar overall. Oh, just love listening to the bagpipes. That is probably one of my favorite things. Is I love bagpipes. I think they're just kind of fun to listen to, and just very solemn. And I imagine it's a big honor to be there. And so the funeral will start officially in about 11 minutes. And then once they're there to the church and kind of walking down, we'll go ahead and end it. And then we can come back and come back after the service and discuss a little bit about, you know, kind of what we saw, what was going on, how everything kind of seemed. Jason asks, you know what the blue flower or feather in the block hats are? You know, I'm not entirely sure. Oh, the blue. Are you talking about kind of the beef eaters? Who had the white, red, and white flowers? I don't think so. It probably most likely represents, you know, various ranks and various regiments of the military. Somebody asked again, what is the what is that flag on her coffin? That is, once again, that is her royal standard. You know what Her Majesty will be buried with? So she'll go down into kind of the royal family vault that is in St. George's Chapel in Windsor. And so she will be there kind of with her family. They'll be all reunited. So she'll be there with Philip. He hasn't actually been officially buried yet because he was waiting for Her Majesty. And so they'll be put in the vault together. So with the King George the Sixth, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and Princess Margaret's ashes are also all in the same vault. So they will all be kind of reunited. So I think that's kind of will be a beautiful and poignant moment. Obviously, that service will be, we may see the royals arriving, but that service will be private. And so that'll be kind of like when Prince Philip had his funeral, the bagpipe was playing. When the bagpiper was playing, his casket was actually taken into the vault. So many bagpipers. Yes. Good morning from Kentucky. Crying and I'm not even British. I know it's hard not to respect Her Majesty and her 70 years of incredible service. I mean, she's seen so many difficult times. She's seen, been through World War II and ups and downs in British society. I mean, she had to use a bunch of these coupons to make her wedding dress, and women would send theirs to her so she could have this beautiful, beautiful wedding gown. And so I think that's kind of goes to show, and I think the British people, again, have a huge amount of respect for her and her legacy, and so do people from all over Europe. And we just, it's just kind of a time to remember her and her legacy. And I think she's being given the most beautiful crown. Yes, I did go ahead and block that person. Fibromyalgia. Thanks. I put them in a timeout, but they, I guess, kept coming back. So she'll be buried with her wedding ring on. That's what I'm not surprised about. I'd be curious if she has, it'll be just her band or her actual diamond as well. Yeah, I think different royal standard flags represent, obviously different ranks, and there's one particularly for the monarch. Okay, so they're arriving in front of Westminster Abbey here. Okay, not her diamond. She left that to Anne. Yeah, I would imagine so, because the Welsh gold that they make the diamonds, the bands from, the wedding bands, are actually, there's not a lot of that left, really. But when it comes to the diamonds, because those belong to her Prince Philip's mother, because they dismantled part of the tiara to create the engagement ring for her. And so I imagine they would want to keep that within the family. Oh. You should be reporting straight from London. I hope to, maybe for the coronation. We shall see. So they have arrived at the Abbey, and so they will be moving. Catherine asks, are you tearing up? I did tear up a little bit talking about kind of the Queen's kind of final duty and, being reunited with her family. in death, I think is very, very beautiful. I also read that she had a simple pair of pearl earrings. I'm sure she did. Somebody says, I hope Harry and Meghan aren't in her will. Does that sound horrible? I don't think they'll probably get much of anything at all. I wouldn't imagine, especially Meghan. Harry may get a couple things, but I'm sure not a ton. Maybe they were expecting a windfall from Her Majesty, but she also has, 7 other grandchildren. Obviously, she won't, I don't think, leave much money to William or anything, but I think she would leave money to her other grandkids as well. Because, like we've seen. Do royals need wills? Yes, they do actually have wills, and those are mostly, though, kept in secret. So they're not actually released. This was determined, I believe it was even back in perhaps the 1800s, if I remember reading correctly, is that they do not provide the details of what was contained within the will. Oh, the bells. The bells. Oh, I hope that's not the case. Somebody said that the pistols that Prince Philip left Harry, he sold. That would be really, really awful if he did that. Just because, they're family heirlooms and, you don't have to use them. Yeah. And so they are grabbing Majesty's casket now, and we should see the Wales's children here in just a second, and then we'll sign off here in just a couple minutes. Sign off right at 6 o'clock so we can all enjoy the funeral, and then we'll be back for just a little bit of a chat.
The funeral service of words and music will lead ultimately to the commendation of the soul to Almighty God. This will be done by
Right.
Catherine.
Yeah, I knew he had sold quite a few of the guns, but but I would think heirlooms like that he wouldn't want to. But I guess that's what happens. All right, so they are going to start walking in, and we should see Catherine and Charlotte and George join them here. Trying to read what the note says on top of the flowers.
With a simple message from the king.
Okay.
Made from flowers at his request from the gardens. The queen knew at her homes.
Yes, so the flowers are from the Queen's gardens at her homes. And I would imagine those are some of her favorites. Michelle says, do I have to work today? No, but I do actually am going on a work trip. So I'm going to get on an airplane after too long after this. So I'm going to be a bit busy, but I'm hoping to stay on here until we see the Waleses. I'm hoping. So. So once we get back, I will share your thoughts about what I saw and thought in the service, and just kind of discuss what seemed to be the case, and any things we noticed about perhaps Harry and Meghan and what they kind of did. And so we'll see. All right. So the ladies should be joining them in just a moment. Yes, and then that'll be the question too, where are Harry and Meghan seated? That's going to be the huge, interesting question. I don't know if they'll be on the second row or if they'll be kind of on the opposite side where Andrew was during Prince Philip's service of Thanksgiving. So if you look at where Andrew was seated, I could see Harry and Meghan being in the similar position. Because I don't think they'll want the camera panning to them too much, because the camera has seemed to avoid them. Oh, where she got married to.
The Queen is born to the Abbey, where she was married in 1947, crowned in 1953, where she attended royal weddings. All, as with her own funeral today, part of the recurring season
So haunting. All right. Well, guys, I will see you a little bit after the service. All right. Bye. Enjoy it.